Good morning. As the sun is rising this morning, I came up on the mountain. I was just following wherever my attention took me, and I ended up in this spot, and I'm watching the sunrise. And as I was watching the sunrise, I was watching the shade retreat from where the sun was touching. And in the process, I started to consider and think about the relationship between shadow and light and dark. And so I took a few deep breaths and asked, what message do you have for me today? And I proceeded to write out a bunch of thoughts that just came to my mind. And so, what are your thoughts about light and dark, light and shadow? Because both are necessary. Both are important parts of this life. If we only had light, if there was only light everywhere, there was no shade, there was no shadow, there was no darkness, I don't think life on this planet could exist, because it would get too hot. We would burn up. Even during a hot summer day, as humans, we seek shade. We build gazebos and shade things. We have blinds for the windows. We've got all these different things to provide shade from the sun, right? And so shade and shadow is important for us to be able to live comfortably. And on the flip side, you can't just have dark. It can't just be dark all the time, because plants wouldn't grow, it would get too cold, and we wouldn't be able to exist either. So there's a balance between the two. And shade and sun, so as you look out across the valley, the shade can't exist in the sun. And the sun doesn't exist here where the shadow is. And so they're ever present, they're connected, but they can't. It's, if you bring shadow and light together, what do you have, right? They both exist, but not, they're two opposites, right? So just like the magnet with the positive and negative side, as soon as you cut the magnet in half, another negative side is created, a positive and a negative. There's always a positive and a negative. Same thing with the light and the dark, the light and the shadow. They both exist simultaneously, but don't really come together in a blended way. I mean, there's shades, there's shadows, and different forms of light. But it's just fascinating watching the line of light, right? Where the light touches and then the shade retreats. And so that moves. And so in your life, do you find yourself fighting against a part of life, thinking this part of life needs to be eradicated? This extreme does not serve any value, and we just need to get rid of it. And you are fighting to get rid of something. Okay? Well, what if opposites are actually necessary in this life? What if there is a law of opposition, in that these opposites are what make this life meaningful? There's health and there's sickness. There's love and there's fear. And all these things work together to help us understand, to learn, to grow. And it's not about eradicating the extremes, but finding balance between the both. That's where we'll find meaning. That's where we'll find peace, is not in the eradication of an extreme, but the balance of the light and the dark, the balance of fear and love. It's a beautiful spot to be in. And so just think about that. Now, when you think of love, when you live in a state of complete love, fear doesn't really exist. But can you understand complete, full love without having first felt and understood fear? So I believe that the fear is an important part of our journey. And it's been said that the greatest joys and successes in your life are going to be on the other side of your worst fears. And so as you hunt to your fears, as you chase your fear, as you move towards your fear and you break through it, that then allows you to experience more light and more love. So I believe that you are a miracle, that you have a purpose, that you are here for a reason, and that your life is beautifully designed to help you experience the life that you are here to experience, to help you learn the things that you really deeply want to learn. I believe that you chose this life at the higher version of yourself, that maybe you can't remember that right now, but I truly believe that you had the choice and you got to choose this life. And with your understanding at the time, you chose situations, patterns, things to help you learn and grow in a way that would serve you the most. Sometimes in the valleys, it's hard to remember that. It's harder to see that. But in the end, when you get a chance to look back over your whole life experience, I believe you'll have nothing but compassion and awe as you recognize, wow, that's why that happened. It introduced me to these people, or it gave me this experience, or it taught me this, and that's why that was necessary. It wasn't joyful in the moment. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't, it was hurtful. It was painful. But in the end, it helped me learn this, or it helped me grow into this. That mess gave me this message. And as you look at the whole, you can see the balance and the beauty within it. So I'm grateful for you. I believe in you. Your life does matter. You matter. And so you being here today is a gift. It's a magnificent gift, and I am so grateful that I get to spend this little bit of time with you today. I see you. I'm grateful for you. You make a difference in this world. And your difference, your ideas, your opinions are needed because you help bring to the contrast, you add to the depth of this life experience. And so don't be afraid to have opinions. Don't be afraid to share what you think, because as you do that, that puts you in a position to be able to hear other opinions, to hear other ideas that will help you learn. And so be you, be true to you. And don't be afraid to look at your darkness. Don't be afraid to look at those fears that are inside of you and to challenge them. To ask yourself, why do I believe this? Why do I have these habits? Why do I live where I live? Is it just because that's what the culture around me has told me to do? Is that what my family has told me to do? Or is that what I chose? As you connect with yourself at a deep level, what do you feel called to do? Listen to yourself. Listen to that inner voice, that higher self. Our mind is blabbering all the time, blah, 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 fighting back and forth, saying, oh, this is that person means this. Okay, that's just the noise of the mind. But as you take a deep breath, you step back into your awareness and you listen. There's a deeper level of knowing. There's an inner voice beyond the chaos of the mind that will guide you. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I believe that you can get to that point if you haven't gotten there yet. So be quiet, listen, trust. You're okay. You're a miracle. You have a purpose. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If today's message was for you, go and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.